All right. Well, welcome to the live stream, everybody. As always, feel free to ask any questions about the settings or features and that sort of thing about the MDX Algo indicators. I will do my best to answer them, as always. Don't always have the answers, but I have a pretty good grasp on most of the features there. So, yeah, with that, let's hop right into it. Now, you guys already have a pretty good idea how I feel about Bitcoin in general, the health of it right now. I've been quite vocal about being bullish in my very recent videos here. Even though I do see some reasons for a potential pullback, I'm just not confident enough with that scenario to actually put money there and try and short the market. There could absolutely be some great setups for that side. I just know myself personally, I'm more comfortable trading the long side, and I'd rather just look for, even if it's scalps, just looking for some kind of a pullback. I'm just really not ready to bet against the bulls with this crazy trend we've been having the last couple weeks here. So yeah, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, and we'll also take a look at some altcoins, see if we can maybe find some decent degenerate setups or anything like that. So before we get into that, obviously none of this is financial advice. Always do your own research. But if you do appreciate my outlook on the market, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It goes a long way for a small channel such as myself. And yeah, with that, basically looking at Bitcoin here, I've been very vocal about this horizontal green line that was important support, which we've obviously bounced off of. I don't need to go too much into that because I've mentioned that in my last 5 or so videos here. One thing that has developed since my last video, this is a weekly chart, you guys. It is also my logarithmic chart, so if it looks like it's a funny scale, just how everything is scaled here, it's just because it's the logarithmic rather than the regular chart. But yeah, like I said, since last video, we were flirting around this resistance, this red line that I have mapped out here. And we actually had some warnings coming up on the indicator on the daily time frame. But we've actually managed to break past that level. And again, this is actually the weekly. I will take a look at the daily soon here, but it's just easier to see the real important levels in the market on this weekly here. So it's very nice that we actually broke this structure here. I still think that the more important resistance is up ahead at around 25K or even a little higher, kind of going to this high back here. Just because as far as the market structure goes here, we have our low and we have our lower low. Our highest point between those 2 points is this level here. So that's actually what I'm looking at on a macro scale as far as a lower high that we're going to have to break. So that's the level that I really want to see the bulls break. On top of that, you guys, look at this with the MDX ALGO 3 here. We do have this trend confluence coming down here, and I'm not even sure what the trend confluence is based off of, what time frame for the weekly chart. I have my settings set to automatic, so I'm not sure if that's 3 weeks or the monthly or what that is. But down here we have the weekly moving average, and we have the trend confluence up here, and that's actually coming down and catching up with that level very soon here. I mean, that is some crucial, just an important level in the market, some very strong resistance that might be coming up ahead here. So definitely want to throw that area on your radar here. I think 25K is going to be a very important level. Like I said, though, I like the fact that we did break above this high back here at about 21.5. And even this one right here, we're actually, we are currently still above with this weekly candle here, which is going to close tomorrow. So I would like to see us stay above this too. I don't really want to see a rejection come into play off of these levels. If anything, I want to see a rejection up at this level just because it would maybe make for some easier shorts in that point if we get some kind of a swing fail here with all this resistance up ahead. But as it stands now, I mean, there's obviously a ton of momentum here. I will just take a look at a few things here yet. One thing that the Algo 3, I just noticed today actually, when I brought up these demand zones, or the demand and supply feature with the indicator. Interestingly enough, this demand zone on the weekly time frame, this green box here was mapped out automatically by the indicator, matching up perfectly with our yearly low here, with our previous year. And that's lining up perfectly with the line that I already had mapped out. On top of that, we do still have obviously that reversal warning that I was putting on your radar a few weeks ago already. So yeah, it's nice to see that the indicators are agreeing with me that, hey, this has been an important level in the market. It's nice to see that we are breaking some structure, but I think this is going to be the important one up here. If we break this level here, I can say with confidence, as long as we get like a weekly close, daily close above that level even, at least the structure of the chart has changed, and we've actually taken out that lower low, lower high trajectory. So at that point, we'd actually have a higher high, which would be nice. Is that going to happen? I don't know. We're going to have to see. It may take a few runs. For all I know, this may not even be the bottom yet. Something that I want to really throw on your guys' radar is that, yes, I have been quite bullish, and I do see reasons why this could be the market bottom. But that doesn't mean that I'm correct. It's way more important to be able to react to this market rather than predict. I preach that all the time. If we get some sort of a crazy rejection here, or even just some kind of a fake out, I might be expecting more of a harsh rejection there. And then we're going to have to see what happens. Just pulling up this little bit of a comparison I just posted on my Twitter yesterday was just comparing the overall, just this line chart here on Bitcoin's history here. Just having that next to the Wall Street cheat sheet here. This is such a very similar chart to what we have back here for this last market cycle. Now, the only thing that has me a little bit concerned is we may actually be at this level right here. If we were to compare these two, I'm kind of under the impression that this little sell-off that a typical market cycle would have here at the end, just the slow bleed to end the bear market, I am kind of looking at this as maybe being the FTX debacle. I mean, we sold off fairly aggressively, but then we just kind of went sideways for a while. So this area here may actually be that, but it's definitely possible that we just set that lower low, which we did in the Bitcoin market. We did break our low if this was to be compared to our June low. And then we get this rise up right here. This would actually make a lot of sense that we are at that level. So just something that I want to throw on your radar, be aware of that. Yes, it's possible that this could be the bottom because I do like what the chart is doing and the momentum the bulls are carrying. But just definitely keep that in mind that we might have that final kind of bleed off where the market just basically gets so boring. Everyone just kind of lets go of the market, forgets what they're doing in the market, just stops paying attention to it, and then it'll finally explode when nobody's paying attention to it anymore. That's definitely a possibility. So just something I wanted to throw on your radar there. Other than that, just taking a look at some smaller time frames here, just looking at what the indicators are kind of telling us. You guys know, if you are in the Discord, you know that I'm always talking about the 1 hour trend confluence because I personally like trading the 5-minute or the 15-minute charts, and I like having the hourly trend confluence with that. And that is actually the automatic setting. When I have the second trend confluence with filter and auto settings, that is the 1 hour trend confluence that's on my 5-minute chart. That's just what I like personally. Everyone has different preferences. It's important to do your own back testing and that kind of thing. Find out what works for your trade style. But I really like to find entries when we're getting closer to that 1 hour trend confluence. So it's been super reliable very recently. Let's say even going back to the 15-minute just so we can fit more in here. And even all these green boxes, that's just demand zones that this indicator is pointing out on its own. So super cool that it does keep those levels on your radar for you. But yeah, basically you can see that anytime we're getting around that 1 hour trend confluence, it's just been supporting this trend so well. And with that filter feature, it's cutting a lot of the chop. We're not getting those short signals throwing us off. It's really only giving us the signals that the trend confluence is matching up with the current chart that I'm looking at. So that's just kind of how I have things set right now. You can see I've mapped out these purple lines actually based off of the 4 hour. We just had this very slight consolidation after we actually broke above this whole trade range. Well, I guess those are just the wicks, but this whole trade range. The fact that we got candle bodies closing above this range was absolutely beautiful. And the fact that we ended up getting this little consolidation and once again closing above the little consolidation we had there, I mean, the price might just be ready to just keep climbing to the upside. Obviously, there is a bunch of resistance up ahead. Even the indicator here is mapping out this would be a supply zone. For those of you who are fairly new to the indicator or haven't used the indicator or anything, that would be the supply demand feature here. And I've changed the colors to red and green just so that, yeah, I look at them as basically support resistance. So, and even when we were consolidating down at this level, I was talking about the fact that this indicator was mapping this out as a potential demand zone. So pretty cool that it automatically did that. And while everyone was flipping bearish, thinking that we were going to dump off a cliff and have that big retrace because we were overextended, the indicator wasn't fooled by it at all. It showed that this was a level of demand, and we ended up pumping to the upside. So we might just be breaking out again. We're going to have to see what happens. We are losing a bit of momentum. You can see our candle bodies aren't really closing above the wicks anymore. So something to be a little cautious of there, right, as we're trading up into this resistance area. But like I said, as long as we're trading above these purple lines here, I'm pretty excited about that with how that looks. Even going over to the daily, I mean, things were looking super overextended, but look at our yesterday's daily candle. This thing just closed way above this this range that we had down here. So I think the bulls could definitely still have a little bit of fuel in the tank. I mean, especially if we don't end up closing below this level, if we do get this candle body just closing higher today, which how long do we have? Just under 2 hours now until this candle closes. Things just don't look so bad for Bitcoin, in my opinion. And yeah, basically, if we're not getting shut down at these purple lines here, I really don't see a reason why we wouldn't end up trading into this red box. And again, like I said, possibly targeting that 25K area. I really wouldn't be too surprised if we get there. We're going to have to see what happens when we get there. Yeah, sure, you know, things do look a little overextended. I mean, the indicators for weeks have basically been overextended on shorter time frames, and the market just doesn't seem to care. So just something to pay attention there. There was, what else? Oh, let me just bring up the other indicators here, going back to my weekly chart. Something else that I noticed this morning is going to the oscillator 5 here on the bottom. And I got to thank Stock Poker for this. He's been in a lot of my streams and been very vocal and very active in my videos and stuff. And he always asks me or reminds me if I use this money flow in the oscillator 5 down here. And I'm trying to make a habit of using it more. And you can see that this is actually starting to flow or to flip green right now. And this is on the weekly chart, and it's only just beginning. So yes, everything looks overextended when you're looking at shorter time frames, but on a weekly time frame, the money is just starting to flow into the market. I mean, we can go back and just look at what happens some other times where this starts to flip green. I mean, it happened back here, absolutely massive pump to the upside. You're looking at like 600% there. Even back here, as soon as we flipped green, I mean, yeah, it was a little bit late, but we still got a very nice pump there. Let's see, where does this happen before that? I mean, this has actually been quite accurate at timing market cycle bottoms. So yes, there is just barely a little bit of green at where the current price is, but it is starting to flip green. And if we look back at some of the previous times this has happened, I mean, this has been huge for the markets. So that's something I really just noticed that this morning. And I'm very intrigued to see what happens here, because you can see that's definitely flipped green here. I think that's something we should all take quite seriously, to be honest. I think that's actually quite a big signal that I have not seen anybody else out there mention at this point. I know there's a lot of talk that this pump was manipulated. There's nothing actually back in this pump or anything like that. The money flow doesn't lie. If the money is flowing into the market and we're pumping up and this is just the beginning, I mean, there could be a lot of upside, you guys. I am personally more under the impression that we would trade sideways for a long time in a much bigger range. I really don't see us just blasting off to new all-time highs, just starting a parabolic bull run. I'm not saying I think that's going to happen yet, but that's just something that I think we should take serious, that there is that money flow starting to flip. So very interesting there. Like I said, glad that he mentioned that to me the other video, because I think that's something I want to start paying a little more attention to there. Yeah, exactly. Like Thump just said in the chat there, I think that could be a very big signal. I don't want to take that too lightly. I know there's a lot of signal. Well, even look at it on the daily here. As soon as we started to flip green on the daily, just look at the size of move we got in the charts, right? I mean, basically this whole range, it was just starting to flip green here, but absolutely the market just took right off from that money flow there. So looking at that on an even bigger time frame, I think that's very serious. So I don't want to say that we have to drop all the way to 10K or 14K. I'm just pointing this out because I think there's reason to believe that the bottom of the bear market could be in. But again, I trade much smaller time frames than this. This is just looking at a overall general picture of the market health and that sort of stuff. I like to look at the bigger picture, but yeah, obviously if the structure of the chart changes, then I'll change my opinion again. I'm not afraid to short. I just prefer longing. I just tend to trade the long side better. So yeah, as far as long-term analysis goes, that's about all I wanted to say. Oh, one more warning shot, actually. Just a bit of a mixed review here on the oscillator 4 up here. We actually have this trend exhaustion as we're trading towards the top of the band there. So I wouldn't be doing my part as an analyst if I didn't at least mention these things. I don't want to be completely biased. We're seeing some bearish things coming into this indicator up here, and that is a weekly time frame. So that's another thing I don't really want to take too lightly, but just pointing out some things. Obviously, come to your own opinions. This is a very large time frame, and this candle is going to close tomorrow. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, especially as we start approaching these higher resistance levels if we end up testing those. Anyways, enough about that. I know that got a little long-winded, but like I said, I just think that was something very important, something very cool that I've never seen before today. So yeah, very interesting there. Really just zooming into some other time frames. We'll just start, yeah, like I said, just starting to zoom in here, and we'll see what the indicators are saying. So here I'm on the hourly chart. I'm not sure what the automatic trend confluence is on this time frame. I'm not sure if it's the 3 hour or the 4 hour or what it is. I know everything up to an hour uses the hour trend confluence, but I'm not sure what after an hour does. But nice to see once again just how powerful that can be when it doesn't seem to matter what time frame you're on. When you have that longer confluence helping the trend there, it can just be such a powerful thing. So that's just easily my favorite thing about these indicators, to be honest. Yeah, I'll just zoom right in here, get right into the nitty gritty here on the 5 minute. What do we all got here? This is where we're starting to get into some freestyle in here. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. I hear my neighbor snow blowing his driveway, so it's getting pretty loud in the background. Let me know. But yeah, just looking for some random signals on the 5 minute here. Really looking for some degenerate snipes. One thing that's interesting, we do have this little bit of support that we might have found here. And the reason I say that is obviously we have this nice little wick here. We are above the 1 hour trend confluence, and we are still above the 4 hour. I showed you that resistance that we had on that 4 hour range. Basically, as long as we're holding above that, and with the 1 hour trend confluence ending up catching up to that level as well, I think that there could be some strong support for the bulls. Obviously, we also have these demand zones that the indicator's mapping out for us. Again, it's just a 5 minute, so take it for what it is. But yeah, basically, I like to look for entries based on longer time frames. So as we're getting closer to the 4 hour as well as the trend confluence, I'm very interested in taking positions. Especially when you see things like this. I mean, it's not perfect, but let's say we get this double bottom here. You can see we're kind of trading in this little zone here. We're starting to get these reversal warnings on the indicator. We have a bullish divergence here. Bullish divergence on the oscillator 5. The oscillator 4 did have this trend exhaustion when we were trading down just for that, I don't know, what is that, a couple hours or whatever. Potential bullish pivots. So there is definitely signs that the bulls are getting ready to step into the market again, in my opinion. Obviously doesn't have to happen. We could, if we end up flipping this trend confluence back red, then I'm probably going to pump the brakes a little bit and start just waiting to see what the reaction is from that. Let's see here. I want to take a look at some altcoins as well. Obviously, a hot topic in the Discord is TAP or XTP. That will be my chart on the left here. Look at that. We got two beautiful colors on the indicator now. That's been a thing for a long time. I've just always been using the same color, but for the altcoin session here, I figured I would split them up, do one of each, so that's cool. I just love the look of these indicators. But yeah, I actually, just before starting this video, I did pick up a little bit more TAP. Well, bought it back, I guess, because I was mentioning that I took profits a ways back. I think it was about a week ago or whatever. But I did buy some of my position back just a couple hours ago. And kind of looking at the same thing. We have this little bit of a double bottom here. On top of that, we have the trend confluence coming up here. So like I said, I'm not sure what time frame the 1 hour uses as the auto settings here. But the trend confluence has caught up, and you can see that it has been beautiful at supporting the trend anytime you're getting close to that. Even these shit coins are respecting these things. And on top of that, we did have this reversal warning here. So I figured, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to add a little bit to my bag. So that was kind of my thought. That's obviously just spot. I don't even think you can trade TAP with leverage at this point. Maybe you can, but I think the liquidity would be so poor if it was a thing that I wouldn't want to touch that. So yeah, so I guess that was my reasoning for adding a little bit to my position there. Just have to see how that goes. The 4 hour does kind of look like it's rolling over a little bit, so I do have fishing orders down lower too, on the lower time frames, or sorry, on the longer time frames. Looking down closer to these trend confluences, I have some fishing orders set just in case we happen to get an illiquid wick where we just really dump down, and we've seen this with these low market cap coins before. If we happen to catch a wick, I want to have a little bit of just a couple orders on the way down. So that's kind of my strategy with that one. But that's basically a lottery ticket. You guys who are in the group, you know TAP is a very small market cap and that sort of thing. So obviously tread carefully with that. But yeah, so far loving what it's done. What else do we have here? I have Solana on the right hand side. The reason I brought this one up is because it has been on my radar for quite a while. I haven't actually been trading it. I never even spot bought it or anything. I did mention it in my YouTube channel when I was talking about a potential altcoin season, and this was just 11 days ago. Let's just, where was that here? If we go back 11 days, where would that have been? So that would have been just down at about this level here, where I was saying that I think that a bunch of altcoins are going to be taking off. And a large part of that was just because of these indicators. Everything was looking so oversold. I mean, this is a daily chart here. I'll bring up both or all the indicators here. You can see on the daily, we just had all three indicators lining up beautifully. And on a daily, I'm going to take that fairly serious. We had this bullish pivot. We had the trend exhaustion. Same thing with the Algo 3 down here. We had trend exhaustion as far as the selling off. It had been coming to an end. We had these reversal warnings. We had take profit signals from the short signals coming into play. We had this demand box end up being mapped out. And as well, on top of that, with the confluence of the other indicators, the oscillator 5 also had this big green dot down here, just saying that things were oversold. So just a lot of things. I love when these three indicators line up together. It's such a powerful thing, especially on a longer time frame like that. And we can even look at the weekly. This is actually why I made that altcoin video, was on the weekly. Solana was just looking absolutely beautiful. We had the oscillator 4 up here with a bullish pivot. The Algo 3 had this potential market bottom, trend exhaustion, and oscillator 5, same thing, big green dot, oversold territory, looking for a potential bounce there. So on a weekly time frame, that is very serious. Again, obviously coming up to resistance, but that was a beautiful move. I mean, from when this thing bottomed out, let's see here, when we got this bullish pivot point on the weekly chart, that was a perfect bottom. That the price has pumped 170% on Solana since it gave that signal. And the fact that all three of those signals lined up together, just absolutely beautiful. So like I said, that's one thing I love looking for with these indicators, even on shorter time frames. When you see all three of them lining up like that, that just can be such a powerful thing. Take a look at some more altcoins here. I know Sand was another one that I was looking at, I believe. If I go to my daily, we're obviously getting a little bit overextended, but yeah, basically the same thing. Not quite as clear, but the Algo 3 was giving its warnings there, just showing potential support for the trend with these bullish divergences on the Oscillator 5. The bullish pivot point on the Oscillator 4 was a little bit earlier on this one, so it wasn't quite as picture perfect as Solana, because that was just ridiculous. But Sand has been performing very nicely as well since it bottomed out. What has it gone up here? Oh geez, just making paint here, making a mess. So very similar, not quite as juicy, but 120% it has pumped so far. So yeah, that was and how long ago was 11 days, I said? 14, 11. So same thing, just kind of in this consolidation. So got a nice big pump after I kind of threw some of those altcoins on the radar there. So that was pretty cool. Ethereum, I'm kind of looking at Ethereum right now on the 5 minute. Again, we're just getting very close to that trend confluence on the 5 minute here. And we also have these reversal warnings. I'm actually thinking I might ladder in a little bit of a long here. Enter a bit of a position and just kind of ladder in. And then where would it, I guess we'd want our stop loss somewhere below here probably. Actually, for this case, just because the trend confluence is right here, I would actually set my stop loss just somewhere below here. I think I'm going to do that, actually. Might be a little bit degenerate, but I think I'm going to ladder in a little bit of a position there. Why not? That's what we're here for, right? We're trying to find some kind of setups. So let's see what happens with that. Does anyone have any questions about the indicators or just anything in general? The floor is totally open. If you guys want to hop in here, like I said, it's pretty chill today. If anyone wants to hop in and just shoot the shit, by all means, feel free. If there's any coins you want to look at, any setups you're looking at. What was that? Ethereum I was looking at? Yeah, I wouldn't mind setting a little order right around there. Why not? Just a little guy. I see some people chatting in the box here, so I'll just give people a minute to catch up here. Sorry, missed your opinion. You going to short or long ETH? I'm looking to long ETH. It does look a little weak. I'll give it that. But generally speaking, I just really like this hourly trend confluence. And it's worked quite well in the past when I look for entries near that level. And since the price has been getting closer to that trend confluence, and we're starting to see that once again, just we have a demand zone that's been laid out since back here. We have these reversal warnings here. So yeah, I'm more looking to long just because the stop loss, like I said, I can basically have it just somewhere down here. What kind of leverage would a person be looking at here? So it's a 1.3-ish% move. So if you were using 10x leverage, that would be about a 13% loss. And obviously, you guys use proper bankroll management if you are trading with leverage. Leverage is dangerous. Don't go all in. Like if I'm going to be using 10x leverage here, I am by no means risking 13% of my entire portfolio kind of a thing if I'm doing a trade like this. I just want to make that very clear. How do you ladder in with limit orders? So the way I do it, like right now, I just set a little bit of an order, or well, just entered a position. I guess I just set a limit order just slightly higher, so I entered a little one. Then I set my stop loss, so I have it just below 1630, and from there I can just, so since I have the stop loss set to my entire position at this point, I can just add to my position right here and not have to worry about anything, because it's going to close my entire position if and when I get stopped out at this level. So yeah, that's just, I could add as many limit orders as I want. As long I'm already in my position, I could add a position here, 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 here. I could add positions at whatever prices I want, and it'll just add it to my same position, and the whole thing will be stopped out at the same price if that happens. That's how I have it set up on Bybit. Bybit, the app, it's very simple, because you can just click on your position. You can set a full take profit. You can set a full stop loss. Very easy to do on the app there. Getting a request to look at Matic. Actually, sorry, before I look at Matic, I just want to take a closer look at Sand, because this one was looking juicy earlier too. Kind of the same thing here. We are getting those reversal warnings. And again, guys, these are just 5 minutes. When I'm talking about entering positions at these levels, I am starting to take profits fairly quickly on the way up. I'm not looking for a home run trade off of a 5 minute scalp. I'm not looking at holding on to this trade for days. But what I do like to do when I enter these scalps, or these snipes, or whatever you want to call them, I hope, basically, I try to take profits on half of my position fairly quickly if given the opportunity. And then I like to leave some run, because especially with the way the volatility has been the last couple weeks, I've caught some beautiful running trades while looking for a very small trade. So that's just why I like to leave a little bit of my positions run, just in case you do catch a bit of a runner. And just since we are looking at Ethereum here, I will also bring up this feature with the indicator. This is the trade setup. I'll see if it's giving any signals yet. So that one looks like it actually would have just been stopped out. So that might actually be an early warning sign that we are going to trend lower. But I'm hoping that this indicator was just setting the stop a little tight. I usually like to go a little bit looser. I typically haven't been using the indicators as far as finding an entry with using like the trade setup and the long signals and that kind of stuff. I really like to pick my own entries based on all the other stuff dealing with the indicators. All the warning signals, the demand zones, all that kind of stuff is what I like to use to pick my entries. But what I really like about this feature is the take profits, because it's very easy to get greedy and not want to take profits on a position. So I actually probably use this feature on the indicator mostly just for taking profits, not so much for finding my entry. Although one thing that I do like doing with it sometimes too is, here would just be a good example. Since we're so close to the stop here, again, I would obviously leave my stop a little looser than this, but this indicator is basically going for a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. So if you entered at this blue line and you got stopped out at the red here, you'd lose a certain amount, and that would be equal to the amount as if you were taking full profits at the TP1. But if you are able to get all the way to TP3, obviously you got 3 times the reward that you would have got for getting that you would have lost for getting stopped out. But when you can actually get into these entries much lower, a lot of times the price will pull back quite a ways, and you can start entering positions here. Well, now if we happen to get a pump here, again, big if, but if we get back up to that TP3 here, you're looking at a risk reward ratio of more like 6-to-1, or even 10-to-1, depending how close you get in. So That's another thing I like to kind of check with that feature, is just sometimes if I can get in super close to the stop loss, or it looks like the trend's about to find some support and it's very close to the stop loss, then it's just grounds for a very tight stop loss with potential for a much bigger reward in that case. So yeah, that's, I guess, where I stand on Ethereum right now. We're gonna have to see how this 1 hour trend confluence holds. I hope it does. Okay, Matic. Someone had requested Matic. Let me finally get over there. I will look on Bybit. Again, it's looking a little rolly over, but that being said, it also would have lost this trade setup. It is getting so close to that 1 hour trend confluence though, and again, on top of that, we also have this reversal warning here. I'm actually going to get rid of this trade setup because, like I said, sometimes it causes FOMO for me. If I start seeing that the indicator and even the long signals here, I'm actually going to take those off for now, just to show you kind of what I do. There, it just helps clean up the chart a little bit. But yeah, like I said, we actually now have the 1 hour trend confluence catching up to the price. Again, we're still just on a 5-minute chart, but we do have this reversal warning. We have this bullish divergence here. On the oscillator 4 above, we have this bullish pivot point potentially. Oscillator 5, we also have a bullish divergence. So there's a lot of things. And on the Algo 3, like, I didn't map out this support box. That's just a demand zone that the indicator mapped out on its own. So there is a decent amount of confluence going for Matic right here. It would also be a very tight stop loss. Let's say it doesn't work out, because, like I said, it's very powerful when you have all three of these indicators lining up. But it's still not going to be perfect. It's not going to win every trade. But I do like that we're seeing all three of these kind of lining up right around that 1 hour trend confluence. That's an interesting setup there. Again, I'd probably have my stop loss just kind of somewhere down here. Realistically, if you're less of a degenerate, should probably be below our local lows here, below structure. The only reason why I was looking to have one a little tighter is only because of this trend confluence and this demand zone here. Since those are showing their faces there, I'd consider having it a little bit tighter. What kind of a... So kind of the same thing. At 10x, I'd be looking at about a 13% loss there. If I was being less of a degenerate, though, I'd probably want to use lower leverage if I was using a bigger stop loss like this. Again, probably targeting something around a 10 to 13% loss, but on lower leverage in that case. What's Matic doing in the grand scheme of things here? I'll zoom right out. Here, let's even make it a little bigger here. I know this is one that was on my radar way back here. I believe it was Pete Nostop actually asked me to do a little analysis on Matic, and I had pointed out this... Oh, let me just redo that here. And oh, this is going way back. Just going to remove the indicators. Go to the 4 hour chart here. But yeah, I believe it was back here I was talking about being quite bullish on Matic, just because we had this, it looked like an ascending triangle. It even came back. You can see after we broke out, we actually came back and respected it perfectly for that resist support flip and kind of took off from there. So I was quite bullish on that one as well. But that was a long time ago. But that being said, guys, what I do like about the Matic chart right now is I would have been looking at this area kind of similar to Bitcoin's 25K area. So we would have had, here, let me just zoom in here a little bit. So we had our low here, and we actually closed a bunch of candles lower than that. So our highest point between those levels is this level right about here. So the fact that we're actually respecting that as support. Sorry about that, one sec. Throat's getting a little dry on me here. But ever since breaking that level, you can see that we have respected it quite well as support there. So that's nice to see too. Let's just see what the indicators are saying on a daily time frame here. It is starting to warn to possibly take some profits if you are in a long position. But the indicator is looking not too bad in my opinion. We do have, so this is the daily, so this line up here would be the 21 EMA of the daily, and down here would be our 3-day trend confluence. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's also this faint gray line in here as well. That is the market flow, just showing the general flow of the market, where the money is heading, kind of a thing. Speaking of that, let's check the money flow cycle here, or on the oscillator 5. On the daily, same thing. You can see that as soon as we started seeing green on this money flow, the market obviously got a nice little pump there as well. If I go right over to the weekly, how's it looking? We do have a little bit. Well, actually, yeah, it's even curling up to the upside, it looks like. We have the money flow curling to the upside, it looks like, in there. That's interesting. There might actually be some room to go for Matic there in that case. If we are going to get a nice reaction here, I wouldn't be too surprised if it would make it all the way up here. Well, how big of a pump is that? Obviously, it would take a while to play out because this is a weekly chart. But you're looking at another 70-75% pump if we would end up getting that. But none of us are actually trading the weekly chart, so let's dive right into some smaller time frames again. We are starting to get this reversal warning on the 4-hour right in a supply zone, so that is a little bit of a warning shot fired. Let's see what the hourly is saying. We did get this interesting little bullish divergence on the oscillator 5, flirting, still hanging on for dear life above this this EMA. This is on the 1 hour. Little bit of conflicting stories here though. As we're trading sideways on the 1 hour chart here, like I said, we do have the hidden bullish divergence down here, which would generally lead to a nice pump. But you can see that we also had these warning signs. We have a take profit on the long signal that it would have had. This other orange dot is just trend exhaustion. And up on the oscillator 4, you can see we got right to the top of this band again and got that bearish pivot point right at this level. So a pullback might be in the cards. We're going to have to see with that. What's the 5-minute looking like? Oh, I think I was already looking at this. Yeah. So we are getting really close to that trend confluence. If we get to that trend confluence, what I personally like to see, I always like to see how levels are reacted with. The odd time I'll set blind orders, but generally speaking, if I'm entering a new position, I like to see a reaction. So quite often what I'll do, if I want to enter a position at the 1 hour trend confluence, for example, I would just put some kind of a line here, add an alert. I'll have it go every minute until my phone actually gets my attention and gets me to check in on things, just to kind of see what it's doing at these levels. If the price ends up either touching and perfectly respecting that level, or even wicking down below, but then we're getting the candle bodies closing above the trend confluence, that's where I like to consider the possibility that, hey, you know, it could actually be quite bullish, because you're looking at it as almost a bit of a swing fail, where you're just getting a bit of a fake out. You are dropping down below it, but the bulls are stepping back in, closing candle bodies above it. Quite often, I will start laddering positions at that point. I will enter one immediately and then just ladder down towards wherever my stop loss is in that case. That's just kind of how I like to set positions and wait for confirmations and stuff. Everybody trades differently. I'm just kind of showing you how I use the indicators, just some things I look for. Anybody have any other coins that you want to look at, or any just any ideas about anything I am looking at? Like if you disagree with what I'm saying on these charts, or if you think that there's a certain setup that's going to play out. I noticed nobody's really on the microphone today, but there is actually a good turnout in the chat here, so very cool to see. Yeah, quite often. Kind of the same thing I look at as far as the price coming into support and resistance. Generally speaking, yeah, if I'm wicking to my, let's say just wicking past levels. It also depends if it's my support boxes or the indicators. Like this, for example, what I would really like to see if we actually started testing into this box, if we were closing candle bodies in this box, I would be a little bit hesitant because we're now closing bodies below the trend confluence. That just could be a bit of a bearish warning. However, if we start closing candle bodies in this green box and the indicator is making the candles nice bright green, saying things are oversold, the other indicators lining up with it and that kind of thing, that's where I would still consider it. But yeah, generally, I do kind of look at it the same when I was talking about it wicking to or just wicking past and closing right on. I do look at my own support and resistance kind of the same way. If it's a bit of a fake out, then I am very tempted to hop on a little bit of a reversal, I guess you could say. So like, let's say a good example would be, I'm kind of interested in this market structure down here where we have our local low. Something I would be interested in doing in that case, once again, I just like to set my alerts to once per minute when I do set them. What I would be interested in seeing then at this point is if my alarm goes and tells me that, hey, we've hit this level, and let's say we get some kind of a dump like that, but we're closing up here, I am definitely going to strongly consider the possibility that it's a swing fail. It's just we had a fake out of trying to dump below this level. So even if we are going to continue trending lower, there's at least a good possibility that we're going to get some kind of a bounce at that point to at least kind of test the bulls, see if they're able to catch gain any momentum from there on. So yeah, I definitely look at support and resistance kind of the same way there. Hopefully that answered your question without too much of my ranting there. If it's going to go down, right now, I'm just not confident in general it's going to go down because I think the trend is so strong to the upside. I would lose faith in my position if we start losing, the trend confluence and this demand zone. I will definitely start losing my confidence, but that doesn't mean that I would be willing to short it. But just in general, if I start losing confidence in my position, I will either not want to be in that position, or I might downsize my risk, let's say taking a loss on half my position and then waiting it out with the rest, or breaking even if I can with half my position or anything like that, to try and pull out a little bit of risk. But yeah, as far as the price actually going down, let's say, let's just say I had that line there and I was talking about if we end up wicking below it, but we actually end up closing on top of it, I would be quite bullish. If we end up closing a candle body below this red line, and especially if we have a second candle, like a little doji or any kind of little second candle there, kind of confirming that, hey, this support may be flipping into resistance now, I'd be a little more bearish leaning at that point. I don't like to necessarily take a short in that case either. I would prefer if we got some kind of a bounce before that. But that's basically when candle bodies are actually closing beyond my trend lines. that's where I start to change my opinion a little bit. The wicks, I'm just looking at fake outs, but if it's the candle body, I take it a little more serious. I'd still want to see a retest of the line of some kind, but yeah, that's kind of what I look for, I guess. Look at tap go. See, those reversal warnings. Say, you know what? Here's a perfect example. Hourly chart on tap. How about that? I had this purple line mapped out. We dropped to it. We wicked below. Also wicked below the trend confluence. So bam, both things I was just talking about. But we closed candle bodies above it. I added to my position. I was vocal about that at the start of this video. That's exactly the type of situation I'm talking about. So there's a good example for you. How is... Where'd my Ethereum chart go? Oh, I must have got rid of it. Must be Matic now. Well, it's really not looking that strong. I mean, support never does look strong is the thing. Generally speaking, if you're buying at support, it feels uncomfortable. It looks uncomfortable. It looks like things are about to drop out from under you. And absolutely, you know, the more we test this, we could absolutely be getting ready to dump down. But that's why we use proper bankroll management and stop losses. But yeah, generally speaking, people are going to be bearish at support and people are going to be bullish at resistance, even though it should be the opposite. So as it stands right now, I still like how Ethereum is sitting so close to, well, one, getting these reversal warnings, the trend confluence just below us, and these couple demand zones here. We're going to have to see what happens with that. But yeah, overall, what's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin looks like it's dropping a little bit. Yeah, like I said, the longer time frames, I definitely see reason why we could pull back a little bit as far as the, you know, we have been pumping so aggressively the last couple weeks. But when you're really zoomed out like this, I mean, the bulls haven't lost a ton of momentum yet. Oh, well, oh, this candle is... looks like it's changing quite quickly. We just dropped a couple $100, and that means that, you know what, altcoins are probably going to be dumping too. So I have a feeling that Ethereum position is either stopped out. Yeah, okay, so that was quick. Like I said, it would probably be a better idea to have the stop loss down below here. But even if we got one more candle, if this candle body closed right back above it, I would consider getting bullish again. But the fact that, oh, this trend confluence actually just flipped bearish too. So it wasn't just closing below, because sometimes it'll actually stay the same trend for a while. This actually has flipped. So I'm going to be a little more cautious for the rest of the day, I think. Sand, this looks beautiful. Sand actually looks beautiful. Look at that. We have a take profit. We're hitting the demand zone. Just got this little fake out of the trend confluence here. There might be some altcoins worth looking at still. Maybe Sand's the one I should be looking at here. Oh, getting all stuffed up here still. What did Bitcoin do with that? Did the 1 hour trend confluence flip there? Oh, see, yeah, I don't know. That still actually looks pretty darn good to me. I should have been watching Bitcoin rather than Ethereum, to be honest, because look at that perfect retest of that trend confluence. That is absolutely perfect. And that's why I'm so vocal with you guys about how much I love that. in the Discord on my videos, I always talk about how that's my favorite part about these indicators. It's because of reasons like this. It can just be so accurate. Yes, I'm doing this. I wasn't totally ready to set a pinpoint accurate entry like that. But that's just how accurate this indicator can be with that. So that's something interesting there. You guys, just because we are getting to about an hour here, I am going to get off the stream here just so I can start uploading it. But I am going to still hang out if you guys still want to talk more, either on the mics or on the chat, whatever. I am going to be around. Yeah, this is actually looking quite good to me. The fact that on top of what I just said about the trend confluence, that is that 4-hour trend line that I was talking about. So it's nice to see that we got some kind of a reaction from that level. I still think there is a chance we pull back more because, again, we are trading into those higher time frame resistance levels. But I don't think all hope is lost or anything like that. I think there's definitely that possibility we do keep trending higher towards 25K, but just be cautious, you guys. After we've pumped so much over the last couple days or couple weeks, to be honest, obviously a pullback can come out of nowhere, and just things are quite overextended. Even if we do end up carrying to the upside, that would be absolutely great. Just be a little cautious moving forward is all, guys. Actually, a couple things I wanted to mention that I just forgot, and I try to mention every video about these indicators just in case anybody has any issues with them. If you have any visual issues, if your candles look funny or they get colored, if they get boxy or they get colored weird or anything, right click anywhere on the indicator on any of the signals or hit your 3 dots on the indicator name. Go to visual order and bring to front. That will fix a lot of those issues. And if you're having any issues with these supply and demand boxes, that would be my red and green boxes. Right click over on the side here and check scale price chart only. Those are 2 things that, sorry, I forgot to mention early in the videos, and no one had any questions about anything looking weird, so I'm assuming you didn't. But just in case anyone watching this video does have any questions about that, that might be the answer. So anyways, guys, for those of you seeing this from my YouTube channel a little later, if you find these MDX indicators interesting, I believe it's like $70 a month or something like that. You get a 15% discount with my referral link down below if it is something you care to try. If you do sign up, be sure to actually get involved with the private Discord community as well. You would also obviously get to be a part of these live streams and hang out with me, which is pretty sick. But seriously, folks, it's full of active traders of all levels, very strong supportive community. Yeah, it's just a great time. Everyone gets along super well and they're super helpful. So just be sure to check that out if you do end up signing up, because there's a lot of value there as well on top of just the sick indicators there. So anyways, friends, obviously none of this has been financial advice. Always do your own research, form your own opinions. But if you did appreciate this video, please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.